If you're even thinking about cruising in 2026, there are major cruise line changes that could cost you hundreds more if you don't plan accordingly. Virgin just dropped their no tipping promise. Carnival and Royal Caribbean are making key changes to their loyalty programs, and Norwegian is nickel and diming cruise passengers more than ever. But it's not all bad news. Some cruise lines are adding incredible new features and making their cruises more affordable. These 9 game-changing updates could change how you cruise forever. I'm Gary with Optimal Cruising, bringing you fresh cruise advice, money-saving hacks, and secret strategies the cruise lines don't advertise. Let's get started. It used to be so easy to book with Virgin. One price includes everything. What you see is what you get. No gimmicks, no tricks. You're not paying extra for anything, not even gratuities. They're all folded into the price. But this is changing in 2026. Virgin has caved to the ways of the other major cruise lines, and they are starting to itemize more things, including separating gratuities out of the main cruise fare so that you have to pay those extra, either in advance or once you get on board. They're calling this their new fare pricing structure. It's starting in January, and because the gratuities will no longer be included, they're going to charge $20 per person per day if paid in advance, or $23 per person per day if paid on board. And they're supposedly going to have 3 different tier levels, so you have to be careful when you're booking now to make sure you're getting the extras that you want. They're going to have a more basic level, which is intended to compete more competitively on price with some of the other cruise lines, and then they'll have some higher tiered options that include more things. If you've experienced this with Virgin yet, send us a comment and let us know what you think, because this is brand new, and if you're booking a cruise in 2026 or beyond, you're going to encounter these changes. I know several cruisers who were very loyal to Carnival who are reconsidering that because of some major program status changes announced earlier this year. Now, these changes will take effect in 2026. Originally, they were announced to go into effect on July 1st, 2026, but that has since been postponed to September 1st due to some lashback from customers. Now, the original changes were going to get rid of all earned loyalty status, and you had to maintain your status by spending a certain amount of money over a 2-year period. However, they have now caved on the top diamond level and allow cruisers who have earned diamond level by September 1st of 2026 to keep that status for life. So you can lock that upper status in if you get there by September. However, if you don't, you're going to be under the new terms coming 2026, which are not based on how many nights you cruised, but based on how much money you spent over a 2-year period. Other major cruise lines have not announced plans to follow suit yet, but Norwegian is starting to do something to really nickel and dime passengers. The last time I went on a Norwegian cruise, I could pretty much order anything I wanted in the main dining room. I could order 5 entrees if I wanted to, no additional cost. But that's no longer the case. In 2026, Norwegian is starting implementing a $5 per plate charge for any extra entree that you order, and that's anything over 1. Now, to be fair, other cruise lines do have similar policies, but usually, for example, on Royal Caribbean, you can get 2 entrees for free before they start charging. Norwegian is charging after the first entree now, and that's not the only place they're nickel and diming passengers. On their room service menu now, there is a surcharge for ordering room service, and this is the case on all major cruise lines these days. However, Norwegian is going to limit how many you can order per person. So for lunch or dinner, passengers are only going to be able to order 2 hot items from the menu per delivery. So that means you're going to have to pay another surcharge if you want more food than that. Now, Norwegian is claiming that these policies are being put into place to reduce food waste, which is a good goal. However, a lot of passengers feel like something's being taken away from us because we used to get all this stuff included in the price of our fare, and now it seems like there's a lot more restrictions. But those aren't the only cutbacks Norwegian is making. One of the things I never really liked about Norwegian's private island, Great Stirrup Cay, is that you have to tender there from the ship. Well, that's all changing in 2026. In fact, with massive construction, they're building a multi-million-dollar water park on the island that will have a fee if you want to use it, but they're also building a dock to the island, so no more tendering after 2026. Now, the water park is set to open in the summer of 2026. Hopefully that dock will be ready by then, but it might take a few months longer to get that thing operational. But on the negative side, Norwegian is changing how they do the beverage package for Great Stirrup Cay. So it used to be that cruisers who bought the beverage package or who had the free at sea unlimited drink package could use that on Great Stirrup Cay. But no more. In 2026, they're going to institute a separate beverage package that you have to purchase if you want unlimited drinks on the private island. But Royal Caribbean is actually making some positive changes for their loyal customers. If you are loyal to Royal, you have some added benefits coming your way in 2026. Royal Caribbean is introducing cross-brand points accumulation. And what this means is if you usually travel on Royal Caribbean and you decide to book a celebrity cruise, you can earn points now on that celebrity cruise towards your status with Royal, and vice versa. If you usually travel celebrity, but you decide you're going to try and book a Royal Caribbean cruise, you can now earn points towards your celebrity loyalty status. It works with Silver Sea as well. So now you can earn more points and have more cruise ship options under this new program and still build your loyalty status and get more perks and benefits. A couple of friends of mine really love Princess cruises, and that's pretty much all they book. And one thing they tell me they love about Princess is the fully refundable deposit, because they can book a cruise out in advance, and then when the date gets a little bit closer, they can readjust their plans if they need to, change the dates, even cancel the cruise and get their deposit back as long as it's before the full payment is due. But Princess is changing their policy on this. In 2026, they're making a move to try and reduce some of their fares. And in order to do this, they're dropping the refundable deposit policy. So expect slightly lower fares from Princess in 2026 and beyond, but the default will be a deposit that is non-refundable, and that's going to help the cruise line free up inventory. This strategy should help Princess compete a little bit more on price with the major cruise lines, which is good for cruisers, but it does change your booking strategy, because if you're used to having that deposit fully refundable, it won't generally be anymore. So you'll need to plan better when you're booking, so you're not booking something that you'll likely need to change. And then there's one unique feature about Royal Caribbean's drink package that's changing forever. I've been on many Royal Caribbean cruises, and sometimes I've traveled with other couples who don't both drink, but one of them wanted the drink package. And with Royal Caribbean, you used to be able to have an exemption for the passenger who doesn't drink. Royal Caribbean says that too many passengers are taking advantage of this exemption and they're getting rid of it. In 2026, you will not be able to get a drink package exemption for another adult passenger in your room any longer. It's the same way on most other major cruise lines, but Royal Caribbean was the one different where they would allow you to do this, and that unfortunately is going away. But here's a bonus tip. Royal Caribbean is actually doing something to help those of us out who want a little internet access during our cruise. They are rolling out a 1-hour Wi-Fi package that you can buy when you're on the ship, you can buy internet access for 1 hour for $10. Now, they've only started testing this out on a couple of their newer ships, but it's thought that they're going to bring this fleet-wide. And if you're considering a cruise that stops in Hawaii in the future, get ready to open your wallet a little wider. One of my least favorite things to do is to pay a tax. And tourist taxes on cruisers have been going up, and they are set to rise again in 2026. This doesn't mean a lot for most cruisers because the increases are small and incremental. They'll be eaten up into the fare, so you probably won't notice them too much, unless you're planning a cruise to Hawaii. And this is because Hawaii is doing something unheard of. In the name of conservation and protecting their oceans, they're implementing a tax of 14% of your entire cruise fare, prorated by the number of hours that you will be docked on one of their ports. Now, this could really start to impact the price of cruises that include ports of call in the Hawaiian Islands. And you could actually see fares go up as much as $250 or even $500 just to cover this added tax. The good news is, if you've already booked, the cruise line is most likely going to have to eat that tax. However, new bookings are going to be taking this into consideration. So they're going to be raising the cost of those fares to cover these high additional taxes. And then we have some major improvements to cruising that Royal Caribbean is introducing in 2026. I'll tell you all about those next. But first, if you've enjoyed this video so far, make sure you subscribe to our channel and become part of Optimal Cruising's family. Royal Caribbean has quietly been buying up land around the world over the past several years, and they're rolling out brand new private beach clubs in 2026. Now, the last time I was in Nassau, you could see this massive thing under construction, and they're almost finished with it. It's gonna be right here where you see on this map, right next to where the cruise ships dock. And it promises to be a private oasis with water park features and all kinds of pools and nice areas to just relax, including food and drinks. It's kind of meant to be like a private island experience, but they're not private islands, and they do come at an excursion cost. So for this Royal Paradise in Nassau, Royal Caribbean is said to be charging $170 per person for access. That's a full day pass while the ship is in Nassau. However, that does include food and drinks, so it is an all-inclusive program. Later in the year, in the summer, they are going to open in Santorini, Greece, another private beach club. A little bit more pricey. It's projected to go for about $260 per person, but it again is a full day excursion with everything included. And later in 2026, Royal Caribbean is scheduled to open a beach club in Mexico on some land that they have purchased. Again, it will be a private excursion that you have to pay for to get in there and enjoy the facilities. And Royal Caribbean has said that at these private beach clubs, they will have the same rules as their private island. So one of the new changes has been that Royal Caribbean in 2026 is banning Bluetooth speakers on their private island. They will also be banned at these beach clubs. They have music piped in at these places, but if you want to listen to your own music, you're going to have to bring headphones or earbuds. So now that you know some of the major cruise line changes, there are some strategies that smart cruisers are using to get the most value out of their next cruise. I'll tell you all about those right here.